We said at the beginning that we couldn't have a guest because unfortunately due to COVID-19 in Pakistan, he wasn't able to come. But through prayers and through opportunities and Allah opening doors, yeah, we have a very special guest that's come on and has joined us all the way from the other side of the pool, all the way from Canada. We have, I think, Rashid, the brother of our respected Mubarak Ahmed. He's joined us all the way from Canada. I'm sure we'll find out more about him, but to my short knowledge, he's a radio presenter. He's very active or he was very active in his university as AMSA, and so we have him on today, and he will just be talking to us and how he ended up in Canada last week. We had a very interesting talk from Mubarak, and now we'll have the other side of the coin of Rashid Sab.
Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome.
Alaikum salam.
How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. I was just walking and Mubarak sent me a message that you have to be on the line, and I said, okay, yeah, for sure, that will be my honor. And I was actually listening or watching your program, Khuddam Talk, last week, and it is amazing. Mashallah, you are doing amazing job, and I really inspire with the work which the Tabligh department is doing, and all the young Khuddam are very active. So, mashallah, and barakallah lakum, Rabbi Saab, for leading this program.
Jazakallah. So it's all prayers, we're just bringing all the boys in, and it's nice to be together and to do things that we enjoy doing anyway. So it's nice that we have an online version, and to have you come in from Canada, it's opened more doors, and this lockdown has really taught us a lot about how we can use our materials and our tools to bring more people in. So Jazakallah for appreciating that. Rashid Saab, I just wanted to hear your story really. With Mubarak, we had such an interesting perspective of, the persecution in Karachi and how we traveled to Rabwa due to that persecution. So what's your story? How did one end up in England, one end up in Canada? We know it's very common for Pakistani families, to end up either in Germany, UK, or in Canada. So we've had all three really.
Sure, Ravi Saab, definitely. I was thinking actually to comment last week too, but I didn't get the chance. So Mubarak and myself are actually two different personality. Before moving to Canada, I will say that he was very extrovert and I was very introvert, and I think my parents can also rectify that. That I was very shy, but by the grace of Allah, actually I was one of the, I think, first kids in Jamaat in the blessing scheme of Waqf. So my Hawala number was 41A. I think due to that blessing, I have learned and I have get so many blessings from Allah Ta'ala. And as Mubarak mentioned that our family was persecuted. At that time, actually, I was in Canada and I was serving as president of AMSA, University of Saskatchewan at that time. So it was very difficult time for our family. But if I will see now and the blessing which we have got so far, it's pretty amazing. And you can see the blessing of true Islam. And as Mubarak was mentioning that, the relationship with Khalifa work, like what's the importance of relationship with Khalifa work. So whatever I have achieved in my life, I think this is due to the blessing of Khalifa work and his prayers. So, so my short journey, I will try to summarize. So I moved to Canada in 2012 as an immigrant. And after working in the retail industry, I realized that I might have to go back to university. And this is actually a blessing moment because that was Fazal of Khuda Ta'ala. I will say that because I never did IELTS exam and I was not good in English. But I think I would like to share that story, that how the prayers of Khalifa work actually happened into my life. So Hazur actually visited Canada in 2013, I believe, so, or maybe in 2012 in Calgary. So at that time, I have only maybe $500 in my pocket. And but I really want to meet with Hazur and see, because that was the life moment for me. And I booked the ticket, and people were actually laughing. Even my some of my cousins were laughing, like, "Oh, you have only $500, and you want to spend, and what you will do next? You have to pay your rent." And I said, "I will manage it. Don't worry about that." So I went to Calgary and I meet with Hazur and I share my comments, like, Hazur, I really want to study here because I'm in the blessing scheme of Wakfeno, and I want to pursue my higher studies here. So Hazur comments was that no worries, inshallah सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा, और अगर आपको पैसों की भी ज़रूरत पड़े तो मुझे बताइएगा. So I think the turning point of my life starts from there. I came back and I checked my mailbox and I saw that I was actually accepted for Edward School of Business, which is one of the top school in Canada at this time. So Alhamdulillah. And then I think I never find any financial crisis or financial issues in my 8 years of life. Alhamdulillah. And because the words actually comes out from the mouth of Hazur Anwar Eid Talab bin Nasr, so it should be happen, and I know that it will be happening. And then I decided, okay, like I will spend my whole days and night in serving Jamaat. I was doing actually Jamaat work back in Pakistan too, but after that, actually, it gives me more motivation. So in 2013, I was accepted for University of Saskatchewan, and I got the blessing that I was elected as EMSA president for University of Saskatchewan. So we did a lot of campaigns and very successful campaigns, as Janjua Saab was saying, that how we can pursue social media and different platforms so that we can engage Ghairas Jamaat and other people towards Jamaat. So in 2013, I believe, Murabi Saab, you will know that there was ISIS issues going on, and US Jamaat actually started to stop the crisis campaign. So, Alhamdulillah, University of Saskatchewan at that time actually took that initiative, first initiative in Canada, and then other universities actually follow us. So, Alhamdulillah, our campaign was very successful. I remember that I was giving interviews to many big outlets, CBC News, which is government media channel for Canada, CBC, CTV, Global, you name it. Like I might have given 25 different media interviews at that time. And Alhamdulillah, this was the blessing of Khuda Ta'ala and also prayers of Khalifatul Masih, because I was sending him letter every day. And it was a tough moment. You will not imagine that I was sitting in a live interview at Global News, and they were running news that how ISIS is doing disaster in Middle East countries. And they were asking me, like, you are talking about Islam, and, like, your motto is love for all, hatred for none, but on the other side I can show you that what's happening in Middle East, and these are the Muslim countries. So it was a difficult time, but I think we did a lot of preparation with Murabi Saab and national team, and we did a good job. So, and due to those activities, actually after that we did meet with Muslim family, and again, like from Saskatoon, actually it was it started, and Alhamdulillah, my family was the first one in Canada to start that initiative, Meet a Muslim Family, and we gave again so many interviews to media outlet. And Alhamdulillah, in 2014, there is a EMSA Excellence Award for Canada. So Alhamdulillah, University of Saskatchewan was given EMSA Excellence Award in maybe like there were 30 different universities in Canada. So among those, we were the first. And currently, I am serving as Secretary Tabligh for over Saskatoon Emirat, and uh, uh, you might have seen from last 2 years that First Nation communities, the people who are wearing big crowns on their head, and so they are coming. Yeah, Aboriginal people, First Nation people. So they are coming from Canada, and Alhamdulillah, again, this was. I think I got the blessing to start that program too, because I can share you that story too, that Sadr Saab Khudamul Ahmadiyya Canada was visiting Saskatoon, and he was saying that, oh, last year we actually took a lot of Khuddam for volunteer work, almost chartered plane to UK for Vakari Amal. We want to do Rashid Saab again something unique where Hazur will be happy and excited from us. So we were thinking, we were doing brainstorming, and then I realized that Hazur came in 2016 in Canada, and his wish was that we will create a strong relationship with Aboriginal community. So how about we will take some of the wafad or guests actually from Canada to UK, London, UK, because that's the wish, and we were getting keep reminder messages from Hazura Tala bin Nasir Aziz that we have to make a strong relationship with them. We have to make good relationship with the youth members as well. So I was serving as indigenous coordinator for Saskatchewan, and then I actually invite them. So I will tell you right from a straight that we were not thinking, because it was very short time, almost month left for Jalsa, and then we made that plan, and then we sent letter to Hazur. And for the First Nation community or Aboriginal community, it is very difficult to motivate them to go to religious conferences because of their background. They were persecuted by Christianity and other religions, and but it was hard. And then we wrote letter to Hazur, and Alhamdulillah, I have connected with maybe 5 guests, and all the 5 guests were ready. So we we actually got that blessing to actually bring guests from First Nation community to the Jalsa Salana as well, a couple of years. And this year we were wishing again to bring some guests from First Nation community. I hope that we will be able to get rid of this pandemic, and then we will be able to join Jalsa Salana, hopefully this year. Otherwise, we will join next year. And regarding radio show, there is a story, because every motive has a story behind that. I hope I'm not taking a lot of time from you
No,
guys,
no,
because
no.
I know like
Platform is yours, Rashid.
limited time. So the story behind radio show is that I also serve as a Humanity First coordinator in Saskatchewan as well. So there was a Syrian refugees campaign during the time of 2016, when Syrian refugees were coming to Canada. So I was invited by Pakistani Canadian Cultural Association for a radio show, and I I was nervous, because I told that guy, like the host of that radio show, that you are inviting me, and you will be in danger, because maybe they will take your radio show from you. And but he says, like, we are liberal and we are living in Canada, so don't worry about that. Come and give the interview. So I gave the interview, and after maybe a week later, he actually calls me and he told me that, you were right, man. Even we are living in Canada, but still the thinking and everything is same. So they actually took my radio show. So I was embarrassed, and I was thinking like how we can do that show again, and we can promote Jamaat as well, because there was no platform at that time so that we can do radio show, because other Gharas Jamaat Molvis were coming into the radio show. And so I thought, okay, let's do something. So I did brainstorming with my other friend who is in Edward School of Business at that time. So we decided, okay, we will start a radio show, which is very similar to the theme of Voice of America, or Voice of Voice of Canada, or I think Voice of Islam is going on in UK as well. So we decided, okay, we will start something like that. So we decided and select the name of Voice of Saskatoon, because Islamic perspective directly is not allowed in CFCR, which I'm doing it because it's a Canadian government radio show. So we decided to change little bit the theme of the program, and then we sent that proposal, and Alhamdulillah, it was approved. And I can see that radio show, PCCA, Pakistani Canadian Cultural Association radio show, and myself, Voice of Saskatoon. So we got, Alhamdulillah, many viewers and listeners, and everyone actually appreciate our show. Even sometime mayors come, mayor of city come, sometime police chief came. So they really requested us to come to our show, whereas their show, I don't know where it went. So you can see the blessing of like Jamaat, and also the prayers of Khalifa Waqt. So this is my short story. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
I have one question regarding this Aboriginals. You told me one story. I want you to share here on this platform as well. That these Aboriginals like used to smoke something, and on Jalsa Salana, what they did.
Yeah, I think that's a very inspiring story, and actually, Hazur Anwar Ayatollah bin Nasir Aziz also mentioned that story after Jalsa Salana of 2018. So we took actually Aboriginal guests for the first time, and this is their ritual or like religious thing that they usually smoke, and they whenever they go for a big gathering they smoke and then they pray because that's their part of the religion. And so I think the first session was going on and Hazur was giving the khutbah regarding like how we can serve our mehman or guest during Jalsa Salana. And he also mentioned that I have learned that the weather around this area is very dry, so I will recommend that do not smoke around the Jalsaga. So my guest, he's the chief for Waterhen Lake, very big chief, and he make more than Prime Minister actually of Canada. So he was listening to Hazur sermon as well, and then he came to my side and he says, Rashid, I want to tell you that this is although this is very mandatory in our religion, but from now onward I will not be smoking during whole Jalsa Salana.
Inshallah.
And I was very impressed by his words, and I actually write that letter to Hazur, and then it was mentioned in the Friday sermon as well.
Inshallah. That's incredible. I was actually going to ask you about the Aborigines. As you are also the Tabligh secretary, how do you continue that relationship? Because personally, I've seen that looking after just one who converts to Islam or is in contact with Islam is almost impossible to continue that work. So, as a Tabligh secretary, how do you manage that? How do you keep all those people in contact? How do you keep asking about them, or do you invite them to all your programs? So just interesting to know what happens after Jalsa Salana and how
Yeah.
they're.
Yeah, so I think regarding Tabligh, what I have learned and what I have listened from different Khulfatu and Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi Rahimahullah Ta'ala during his Majlis Irfan, he has continuously mentioned that there are different ways of Tabligh. So first is like you contact with someone and then you pray for that person days and night that may Allah Ta'ala change their heart and they can accept the true Islam and Ahmadiyya. So what I usually do is I usually contact with people, and again I told you that I was very introvert, but due to the prayers of Khalifa Waqt, I will say that I become extrovert now, and people have to stop me whenever I'm talking. So feel free to stop me whenever I prolong my discussion too. So yeah, like I think prayers are very important for the person who you are doing tabligh, and I also say that connections, because one-to-one connection is really important. First thing is social media. Whenever we talk about social media, this is a great tool because we have to spread the message of Islam to many audience. But after spreading the message of Islam, the other thing is that how we are following up with someone. So in the past few years, we have organized maybe 15 or 10 big programs where we have invited more than 300 non-Ahmadi guests in our programs. So whenever we invited them through social media or different channels, so we really take their feedbacks and if we ask them like, if you don't mind, you want to give us your phone number or your email address so that we can follow up with you. So we really do follow up with them, and then again, like when you are making your friend and when you want to make your friend really close and near to you, then you have to follow up with that person. How are you doing? Do you have any difficulties, especially right now and during pandemic? Like you can contact with that person after 2 days or 3 days, asking them. So once you will ask them, then they will show the interest back to you as well, because I know that I got messages from chiefs and counselors few weeks ago about Jalsa because it was a memory. Facebook, like a great tool, it always shows you the memories that Jalsa was going on during this time, or we were going to London at this time. So I usually share those stories and ask them, like, what's your thoughts are. So one of the chief's son actually went last year, and he actually sent me messages couple of weeks ago about um, the visit of Jalsa Salana, and he sent me the picture of himself with Hazur, and he says like, this is my lifetime achievement or lifetime moment in my life, the picture with Hazur.
Hmm.
So, like, this is the way you can prolong your conversation. And also, Alhamdulillah, we are blessed with a very big mosque in Saskatchewan of Prairies, one of the biggest mosques in Saskatchewan. So what we usually do is, before pandemic, we usually invite non-Ahmadi guests at our mosque every weekend, that you can come and see our mosque. So whenever they usually come to see our mosque, they usually see Hazrat Masih Maud Salam picture. So they usually ask like, oh, who is this person? So we usually try to explain them like, oh, like he's the founding member of Islam Ahmadiyyat. And then we prolong our conversation. So we really do one-to-one. And then other thing, Tabligh is connected with so many activities. So Vakare Amal is the other thing, like New Year is coming and you have to clean the streets in the city. And then Khidmat-e Khalq, I think this is one of the biggest tool to do tabligh, because during pandemic and before pandemic, we were doing, like we were every month we were providing free food to the homeless people in Saskatoon. So this was, like a big story in Saskatoon, where, like there are many homeless people living, and always we got media highlights on the top, like, oh, what Ahmadiyya Muslim community or Ahmadiyya Muslim youth is doing it on a monthly basis. And then blood drive. So when you are doing blood drive,
Hmm.
Canada Day celebration. So, of July 1st is our Canada Day celebration, and one of the biggest event in I think Canada is in our one Jamaat, like the Peace Village Jamaat. They really do the biggest event. Pakistan Day event we do in like again Peace Village. Even I think Ambassador of Pakistan actually joined us 2 years ago, and he was in trouble, but he has to come because there were 10,000 people or more than 10,000 people gathered outside the mosque. So these are the different ways. And then dua is really important. Whenever you are doing one-to-one tabligh, you have to pray for yourself and the other person as well.
Rashid, I have one question. I think Janjua Saab has one question. Okay, Janjua Saab, carry on.
Please, man. Please let me, man. Baris bhai. Rashida, Assalamualaikum. Just as
Walaikum salam.
obviously you've referred back to Khidmat-e Khalq activities and relating to Tabligh as well. And I also mentioned to the same in my presentation as well. One thing which really gets my eye as well is that I remember I read this on Twitter as well, and then this was also mentioned by Hazur as well in his Friday ceremony as well a few weeks back. So this was the incident when I think there was one Khadim,
Yeah,
um, who was very engaged, and apparently he received some sort of a communication from some external person from the Jamaat, and it was obviously not MD and so on. They needed some sort of medicine or something like that. It was
yeah,
they needed some assistance to get this medicine, and they could not get it. And this particular Khadim, I believe, I'm not sure, it was a night time, 2 in the morning or something like that, a very odd time, where he literally went to a complete different whole city, traveled, I don't know, 2 hours or something like that, so on, and what it was, to get this prescription for this person. And he delivered it to this person. I think it was a lady, it was at the time. So I just wanted to ask you, what I mean, I know it's been mentioned it was being mentioned by Hazur as well, and it's also been mentioned by Sadr Saab Qudam al and his Twitter page as well. I saw that, and that's how I kind of came across this. What I wanted to know was that how has this impacted, and what kind of impact has it had this on the externals, not Jamaat people, externals in Canada and so on, basically. What's the response been to this one
yeah.
single
Um,
activity?
Yeah, well, I think a single incident can change your heart, and like you cannot win the war through a sword, but you can win the war from your act. So these are the words from Khalifatul Masih Rabi Rahimahullah Ta'ala. And as you mentioned about the incidents, so there are actually thousands of incidents in Canada which we have seen and witnessed from our eyes. And I am also actually serving as Nazim Khidmat Khalq for Prairie region as well. So we usually see those incidents in the WhatsApp groups, and everyone is sharing those incidents. But the incident you had mentioned, and which was mentioned by Hazuri Anwar Talab bin Aziz as well, and it was the incident that one lady was actually looking for the medicine and she was not able to find it, and then the guy, like random person, and that was her comments, and then random person from Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association came and helped me. So she was atheist, and then
Yeah.
she says that I was not believing on God before this incident, but after this incident, now I believe in the God. So you can see that very small incident can change the life of the people too. And I think Alhamdulillah, neighborhood helper campaign is going amazing, and they are changing the perspective and thinking of non-Ahmadis, especially because whenever we post something, and again, due to pandemic, our volunteers are not thinking about their life, but they are thinking about others first. So this is amazing, and everyone appreciate it. And even Prime Minister of Canada also mentioned before a month ago about Humanity First initiative too, like how Humanity First Canada is helping people out door to door. So I think you can see that this is indirect tabligh. Whenever you are doing those type of acts, people would like to know, like I know, like my followers, or like who knows me, they want to know that what is Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association. When I post that information on the radio show, people were asking me like, oh, what do you guys do, and tell us a little bit about your Jamaat. So I think that's the starting point. You can get this spark right away after this act, that tell us about your Jamaat, what they're doing. So
So, Rashid, one more question. Tell us about how you met this Justin Trudeau.
well, this is also amazing story. So um, I was actually AMSA president at that time, and like due to those activities, I was very well perceived by university management and other people. And again, this is a blessing of Jamaat. Like I was nothing, nobody knows me before AMSA president. So when I was serving and I got award from AMSA Excellence Award, it was actually highlighted in many media outlets too. Like CTV News was covering me, and like university magazines were covering me. So these are again, the way for Tabligh. And whenever I got the ways to Tabligh, I feel, like happy and honored that I will be giving interviews and, spreading the message of Islam and Ahmadiyyat. So Justin Trudeau was coming, and, Mubarak, you actually bring a topic. Like I feel embarrassment sometime too, that we were taking class and we took out from the class, and I went directly to that event, and I was the first person actually was allowed to go inside and into that hall. So nobody was allowed to go inside before security check, but due to my connections, I was able to go inside. And then they asked me like if I can sit along with or beside Justin Trudeau. So again, like I don't know anyone, but they asked me. So embarrassment part was that my professor was also in the line, because he was trying to go inside and he was sending me email like, Rashid, I want to go inside too. But unfortunately, I saw that message after that. So again, one thing was exciting, but the other thing was embarrassment that I was not able to help my professor.
Okay, last question from me. Last question. Can you tell us about the pandemic thing, which your wife is doing in Iran, and which our mother, who is watching this, is doing in Saskatchewan?
Well, I think I forget about that important thing, which I will be very proud of my wife. First thing, most of the people may not know that my wife actually lives in Iran, so she's very fluent in Persian language. and she got the blessing to actually translate Kashti Anu in Persian language. And she did the translation of Kashti Anu in Persian language, and Hazur actually, Talab Nasrul Aziz, approved that translation last year in Jalsa Salana. So Alhamdulillah, that's the blessing. And short and long story, I think our whole family was persecuted and still living in issues. So my wife is still refugee, and she's living in Iran from last 13 years. And again, I think if you will see, the upbringing of any kid is due to the upbringing of their parents. So I think all the credit goes to my mother, because how she spent a lot of time on us and involving me, because I know when I was kid, she used to take me to Waqfino program. And again, her aim was always that you have to come first in Nazam, Tilawat, Takreer, everything you have to be first. So she spent days and night on me, and I think this is uh, due to her work, and I think a motivation that I am doing and work for Jamaat. So
That's incredible, Rashid Saab. It's amazing having you on, and you're always welcome to join every week and give us some of your inspirational words that you have. As it seems like you're learning a lot, and we can always learn from everyone's experience. And alhamdulillah, we are going to different nations now. We're moving out of the Midlands. We are at the heart of England and maybe the heart of the world. So it's nice to be spreading out to different corners as well. So Jazakumullah Jaza for joining us. And as I said, you always
Jazakallah Rabbi Sahab.
and Jazakallah for sharing your experiences with us.